Hey guys, what is up? My name is Alex and this is The Car Creative, where we learn everything about car photography and videography and everything in between. Today we are shooting a 2018 Toyota Tundra, and I want to show you guys a little bit about lenses and why you would use certain focal lengths at certain times. So I've got two main lenses that I use for shooting photography and videography. The first one is the Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter, and it has an aperture of 1.8. It's a pretty sweet lens. It's got a nice wide variety between the 18 to 35, which gives you a nice wide, to also kind of like a, you know, your typical 35 to a crop censored 50, and it's a really nice range. It's really good for daily use. I use it a lot. So when you shoot wide, you get a really great perspective of your environment. You get to put your subject, in our circumstance a car, anywhere we want and show the beautiful environment around it. And that's when you would typically use a wide lens, anywhere from a 10 to 24 to maybe even a 35, but then you're kind of getting more into like the normal range. I'll show you some examples of what some wide shots would look like using our truck here. Another thing you can use wide for is to make your vehicle, in our circumstance, look really big and like mean. If you get up nice and close, you can accentuate certain features. Okay, we're starting with an 18 millimeter here, and you can see that it's quite wide, and you can't really see the truck that well, but it's a cool angle. So we'll start here, and then I'll keep cropping in and showing you guys what it looks like at 24 millimeters, 35 millimeters, then we'll switch lenses to the 50 to 100, and I'll show you what that looks like as well. So here we have 18 millimeters, and 20 millimeters, 24 millimeter, 28 millimeter, 35 millimeter. You can just see that the compression is a little bit different as it goes from 35 to 28 to 24, 20. Obviously it just brings focus to your subject. But this one, when you're shooting super wide, you can see more of the surroundings, which is beautiful. So you just get to decide how you want to shoot it. It's awesome.
Morning. Oh.
That's what a telephoto lens does. We're at 100 millimeters right now. I'm like standing right in front of the camera. It's insane. It takes forever to get here. Okay, so I've officially switched over to the 50 to 100 millimeter lens, and I'll show you guys what the differences look like. I'm shooting on a Canon C100 Mark II, and so I'll put the description somewhere about what the crop is on that length, and then the description of how far we're actually going, but I'll describe it all as we go. So here we're shooting at 50 millimeters on a Canon C100 Mark II. So you can see that the compression is quite a bit different and the focus is a lot more on the car. Also, I'm shooting at an aperture of 4.0 if you're curious, and an ISO of 500. So as I zoom in here, you can see at 60 millimeters, again, the focus is just becoming more and more on the car. And you might start to notice that the compression on the vehicle, like it's not wide or big, it actually looks like it's almost squishing the car. And you can see as we go even farther here to 70 millimeters on the lens, that the focus is just only on the car itself. And here's 85 millimeters and 100 millimeters. So a huge difference between what is 50 over here and what is 100, and even what is 18 millimeters and what is 35 millimeters, and they all have a very, very different effect on how they're gonna look on the car. So for me personally, I love shooting with telephoto lenses, Anything kind of wider than 35, I think tends to distort the vehicle or the subject, maybe more than I would personally prefer. So I really love shooting with this lens. It's the 50-100, which again on my Sony a6500, it crops it in quite a bit to like 1.6 times what I'm actually shooting. But for me personally, I just go like so far back from the car, zoom in quite a bit, and I just love the compression that I get on the vehicle. I just think it cleans up the shot, it draws all your attention to the car. But let's say for example you're shooting rolling shots, you don't really have much of an option but to shoot wide. So each lens kind of has a specific purpose, or if you're shooting out in a beautiful environment like I am today, I shoot wide just to make sure you can capture the mountains and all the places that it's in as well. So each lens kind of serves its purpose for a certain time, and you guys get to decide what that is. These two lenses specifically I really love because they just cover such a broad, you know, focal length, and it's really diverse just with the two lenses, and they're fairly inexpensive considering they're very high quality glass, and they give you such a good range with an aperture of 1.8, which is nuts. It's amazing. That's like most prime lenses that shoot that way. So highly recommend you look into them. Maybe I'll put them in the description below so that you guys can get a look for them yourself and see what kind of like specs they have and stuff like that. So but that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this and you learned something, and it gives you a bit more information on what lens you might choose if you wanted to shoot car photography. Thanks for sticking around. Peace.